Hey there, it's Pete with GCI Turf. Hope you're having a great day today. And I'm telling you, there's nothing like flowers. Now, if you've been watching me for a while, you know I've always been a flower nut. Pansies in the fall, and then obviously the options are endless for summer. And I've always had several flower beds all around here. Two at the end of the driveway, under my maple over there, in the front right here, some in the back. But I had to get away from it because my irrigation failed. When I originally killed off everything 8 or 9 years ago, I put in like a makeshift, well, I thought it was real, but now to think about it, it was kind of a makeshift irrigation, and it failed on me. So I didn't have any way to consistently water all these different areas of flower beds. So in the fall of 2022, I think that's right, I'm gonna renovate my yard. I know, it's crazy, but I'm gonna renovate it. We'll talk about the reasons why later, but in that renovation process, I'm going to run new irrigation just to my flower beds alone, so that I can hook that up to my timer and control all that with my timer, and don't have to walk to the water spigot and turn the water on and all that kind of jazz. So that's why I haven't planted flowers here in a while, but I have 4 flats left over today from work. You know, we plant flowers commercially through our lawn care company. Been doing it pretty much since day one, and I absolutely love the splash of color here and there on a property. In my opinion, I really think it sets you apart from all the neighbors on the street that don't have color. And obviously, I'm a turf guy at heart. I absolutely love my turf. As you can see, I maintain it really, really well to a really high standard. I've helped hundreds and hundreds of people all across the country to have really nice yards. And so that's where my heart's at. But actually, my heart's on my property. Okay, the turf is a huge part of that. Okay, who don't want to see a sea of green when you ride by and look at a property and they got this gorgeous yard? But the overall property, obviously it's going to increase your property value when you take care of it right. That's one cool thing about it. And it's just aesthetically pleasing to the eye. When you ride by and you see this super nice property, but it's kind of dull in a way, or you ride by this property and look, and they got little spots and splotches of color everywhere. I just think that's the coolest thing ever. So today I am going to install a brand new flower bed and show you how I do it from start to finish. And we're going to take a quick walk around the house, and I'm going to show you how I go about my process of where should I put the flowers at. Now right here I've got a green crock, and I've got a nice area. And look, you can see here's the old irrigation right here that I ran, and it's been destroyed 8 or 10 times. So that's why I don't use it no more. I need to redo it. Now this would be a good spot right here and right here. But like I said, I don't have the means to water these big of an area, so I'm not gonna put them there. Come down my sidewalk right here. This would actually be a good spot, but this would be very expensive to put flowers in this entire area. So I haven't made up my mind what exactly I want to do right here, but I am going to do something more of a permanent planting, but it's not going to be flowers. Just turn right around. Right here would be an ideal place. I've got a nice big open area. I could put some flowers here, and I've had flowers here in the past. I removed them because the NBA World Finals. The basketball come over here and just absolutely destroy my flowers. I have one irrigation head here constantly getting broken. So maybe in the future I might come back and try to refigure something out and do it, because that's really cool. Because right there's my kitchen window, and right there's the table I sit at to do my work. So when I look out, this is my view right here, and it's really cool to have that big blotch of color against that really pretty green turf. You got to come up out of here, brother. Now here's something else to consider. All right, I don't have my irrigation set up to water my flowers yet. We'll do that in 2022, but they do need water. So I've got to weigh out my options, the bed size using a watering can, or am I going to need enough water to use actual garden hose? So I have to keep that in mind where I put my bed at. Obviously these are going to be big enough to where it'll take me forever to use a watering can, so I'm going to have to use my garden hose. So wherever I put it, I need to be able to reach it pretty easily with my garden hose. I just got my pansies planted in my pots back here. Now we come out here to the backyard and turn around and look from this angle. That would be two really good spots for flowers. See my area right here, right in front of this column right here, which I need to pressure wash. I could design me out a little bed and put it right here, and then one to match it on this side. And so that would give me a good view, a good splotch of color when I'm looking at the house, the back side of the house from the backyard. Now I'm almost embarrassed to show you this over here, but I'm gonna show it to you anyway. There's no shame in my game. Look at all them weeds right there in my rock wall. I really need to get up in here and clean that out. But this would be ideal locations for flowers, and that's actually why I created this, was for flowers, these three little spots here. And again, I'm not really embarrassed. I don't really get embarrassed all that easy, but it is what it is. I've been busy. Hey, give a man a break. I do need to blow some leaves today, that's for sure. Over here on the side of the house, now I don't really necessarily want to do flowers over here for one reason, is nobody ever sees it. It's just not a good spot for flowers. I do plan on filling that void right there. The Stella d'Oro look a little bit rough right now because the frost has kind of zapped them a little bit and they're almost gone. But I do need to fill this void right here with something, but it's not going to be flowers. The reason is nobody would ever see it. Boy, I'm telling you, I just don't get old to me. I'm telling you, it just don't get old. And when we come up right here to my front door, and look what we have. We have a great spot for flowers. And the reason is, if when someone's riding down the road and they're looking, you can see all this sea of green, everything's looking really nice and lush. And then we've got a big old inviting blotch of color right there at the front door. And when we have guests come over and they're walking down the sidewalk, there's your flower bed right there. And when I go out for my morning jog, I'm just joking. I'm way too busy eating to jog. I get to look at my flower bed right here. So, got three really good reasons that this would make an ideal spot for a flower bed. All right, so let's talk about the shape of the flower bed. I like to work with what I have, okay? What I don't like are squared off and boxy type flower beds. I like a little more subtle curves and that kind of thing. I feel like that really softens things up and everything in a box. Now let me give you an example of a few different shapes right here, and then maybe you'll be thinking along the same lines with me as to what would look the best. So you could do a circle. And when I walk by and look at that, I'm just looking at the overall shape of the area, and it just don't look good to me. You could do a square. You see I've got somewhat of a square going on right here, and that just don't play in well with this point right here. See how the bed comes to a point? I'm also looking at the curvature of my plants. See how the plants are laid out in the back? Let me show you my idea of a really cool looking bed. Now that, to me, is more like it. See how that outside line flows with the landscape I already have? It kind of creates more of a triangular pattern here. There's no wasted space. There's all kind of cool things that go with that particular shape. Now again, all this is PO's, Pete's opinion. There's many ways to skin a cat. You may not like the way I do it, and that's fine. I mean, it's up to you how you want to do your flower beds. I'm just out here giving you my ideas and what I think looks good and what don't look good. And I just think this is a good layout for this particular shape that I'm working with. Now real quick, let me show you another example right here. Okay, see my bed right here? What I wouldn't want to do, that right there just looks funky to me. I just don't like the way it looks. Kind of looks like a Green Lantern ring now, don't it? But that's not the way I want it to look. I don't like that. It looks out of place. Now, I got a little bit off down here. That should come down like that. Now you can kind of see the outline now of how that bed would look, and I can extend that a little bit, or I can make that a little bit smaller. But for this layout, I think that softens it up versus a nice rectangle shape or a circle shape. It just kind of flows with the landscape a little better. Now back here, this is a little bit tricky. I've got two hard angles right here. It would be a little more tricky, I mean, to draw out a bed that flows with anything else. And of course, I don't want a square bed. I'm totally against that. That just looks a little funky. I'm more of a fan of triangle shapes, triangle with a curved side. I'm more of a fan of oval type shapes. Things like that, oblong. I like to stay away from perfect little squares and rectangles. So one thing I would do here is I would follow this edge right here, come down, and then I would follow this straight edge right here and come over like so. You can see my triangle beginning to form, and then I would round it like that. So now I've got kind of a shape of a pie right here. When you look at it this way, you can see my pie shape. And then I would basically go in here and remove the pine needles and plant my flowers. Not a very big bed right there, but that would be for me, that would be an acceptable shape of the bed. And of course you can actually bring this all the way up to here, make the bed a little bit bigger. You could bring it over here a little bit and make the bed just a little bit bigger, like so, if you wanted more flowers. But see, now I have a more of an inviting look. You can see how it tapers to the patio, and it's more of an inviting, it's inviting me into the patio instead of coming out here and having just an abrupt, sharp edge right there. I've learned over the years that I think soft, rounded edging and things like that in a landscape makes the overall landscape look better. So first step, I need to remove everything that's inside this bed. That would be basically pine needles, a little bit of spurge, a little bit of tall fescue. I need it gone and completely clean. Now we're going to do this the old-fashioned way. Don't you dare tell my wife that I'm using the kitchen scissors to cut these pine needles. Don't you do it. And you know who I'm talking to. Now with pine needles, you can use a stick edger, a string trimmer, a shovel, anything to cut and give me a good clean cut right here. Now once I get that cut all the way around, I'm going to remove all this material. I'm going to amend the soil with some potting mix, some fresh topsoil, some compost, something to richen the ground up a little bit. And man, there's hundreds and hundreds of options for that. Now you'll see when I pull this back, this soil is good and dark because this used to be a flower bed, but it hadn't been in a few years. But we're going to pretend that it's clay. Okay, we're going to pretend it's clay. So we're going to mix in some good black, rich soil. I definitely need to go clean these now so I don't get caught. So basically I'm gonna take a good old-fashioned rake that out evenly. Then I'm gonna take this pitchfork looking thing and combine the existing ground and the new ground and mix it all up, then rake it back out evenly again. I'm super peculiar with my raking. Rake's an important tool, and I like to use it and really get this nice and smooth and level, and no humps and bumps, no undulations, so that the bed looks nice and clean. Now this right here is a brand new fertilizer I'm using. Just trying it out, and you can see it's a super micro prill, and you know, kind of the advantage of that is you get better distribution. Okay, you get more prills per square inch, I guess would be a better way to say it. And I'm kind of excited about this to see how it works. What I'll typically do is go and spread out my fertilizer on the bed and then go and drill my holes. Okay, and I know drill your holes, that sounds weird, but I'm literally going to drill my holes. Okay, that's just a standard DeWalt battery cordless drill. And this auger right here, you can pick these up at Lowe's. I think Home Depot probably carries them. You can find them online. Never use it in high gear. Always use it in low gear, which this has a 1 and a 2. If you see how that spins right there, and you don't need to give it full throttle because you'll throw dirt everywhere. But high gear, I mean, you can really tear up some stuff. When I drill my holes, if I'm gonna stay a foot off of the grass and make a line to start, I like to stay a foot off of the sidewalk to make a line to start. This, I'm probably gonna be right around the 8-inch mark. So I'm gonna go 8 inches off the grass, 8 inches off the sidewalk, 8 inches off of my border out here. That way everything is nice and symmetrical. I have the same amount of space on the outside of the bed, and then I'll fill in the middle. That was enough fertilizer for 2 beds. I got extra flowers for a second bed. I just have no clue where I'm gonna put it yet. These right here, Cool Wave pansies. They're kind of a spreader type. It's a purple and cream color. I got the cream over there, and they're just kind of mixed. Big time pet peeve, take the tag out. There's nothing that drives me more crazy than to walk by a flower bed and see a tag sticking in there by the flower. Ugh. Now these are 1801s. They come in a flat. You can get these at like commercial greenhouses. There's 18 pansies in one. And you can see that's pretty good size right there compared to my hand. So it's just a good way to buy flowers. Now when I plant one, I like the top of the root ball to be even with the ground. I don't want it sitting up too high, and I definitely don't want it too low. And then I like to just fluff the ground right up around it like that. Trying to get all the leaf material. I don't want to bury it in the ground or anything. And then something else I like to do is in between all the flowers, I like to smooth it out, because I like for it to be as close to perfect as I can get it. I don't like little humps and bumps in between my flowers and that kind of thing, because when it rains or when you water and that ground tightens up a little bit, those humps and bumps will mold, and then you'll be able to see them really good. I just want a nice, flat, smooth surface. Now, something else I like to do is take my rake and kind of turn it at an angle. I'll gently tamp and go down through here like this. I really hope my lighting's good enough where you can see this, but this is kind of a little humpy and bumpy. But then you come over here to where I've tamped it and it's super smooth right there on the edge. And all this on the outside edge, I will tamp it. Kind of use my rake like so. And look at that. Look at how nice and smooth that is. And see how humpy and bumpy that is? See how it just blends it right in with those pine needles? For you commercial guys, that's a really cool tip. I just kind of figured out on my own years ago. It just gives you a super clean appearance around the outside edges. And then of course when you level and smooth everything inside, the whole bed just looks really nice and neat and professionally done. Now, what about top dressing? Well, I know a lot of commercial guys, I mean a whole lot of them, use pine bark mini nuggets and sprinkle them out, put them around the edges and that kind of thing. Me personally, I'm not a fan of pine bark mini nuggets, and this is why. Yes, they look good. Yes, they give you a different contrast of color. They're neat looking. Everything about them looks good, but when I change these flowers out and plant summer flowers, this is what's going to happen. There's no way possible I'm going to get every single one of those pine bark nuggets out. And what's going to end up happening is they're going to be worked into the ground. Yes, over time they will decay and rot. But between then and them decaying and rotting, you've got wood setting against the root system of your plant. I'm not a fan of that. I prefer dirt against the root system, so that's why I don't use it. Now, you have seen me in the past use soil conditioner. It's a little miniature pine bark mini nugget with some dirt and things mixed in it. Super fine material. I don't have any problem using that, because when you till the ground or work the ground next planting season, you're actually making the ground better by doing that. Me personally, I'll probably leave this just like that and let that green pansy and the purple and white color be the contrast against that super black ground. I think that looks pretty cool. So hey, there you go. Hope you enjoyed the video. Like, subscribe, and share and tell all your buddies. And I got 2 more flats, well, 2.5 flats I got to plant. I got to find somewhere to put them. I'm limited on, well, I've got a lot of spaces to put them, but it goes back to I need to be able to water them. So look, don't be scared to go out there and just create you a bed somewhere. Make sure that it's in a good focal point position, meaning where people can see it, you can see it, so you get the aesthetic pleasure out of the flowers. Make sure that you can get water to it pretty easily. Make sure that the flower that you pick out likes sun or shade, or does okay in both. Pansies typically do okay in sun and shade. This part of the yard is going to get morning shade, full-blown sun during the middle of the day, and then shade in the afternoon. So it's a pretty good mix for it, so they should do just fine right here. So again, I appreciate you watching. It's getting dark, so I better get with it. I'll check you later. And that quick, I changed my mind. I'm gonna plant them here anyway, regardless of the NBA World Finals. We'll deal with it. I'll show you what they look like in another video. Check you later.